Hi, I'm Milesy, and today we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about stretcher bars. And I know I've been saying for a while that I'm going to get to this video, and here it is. The problem I've been having is that I just couldn't find a very nice way to actually set this video up, but hopefully this will work. We'll see. And the stretcher bars are these nifty little things that just come apart and go together pretty easily. They are all dovetailed, I guess, kind of, in such a way that they can be taken apart, and they come in lengths. The set that I have comes between 6 and 18 inches in various sizes so that you can create a frame in whatever size that you want. And in this case we're using 7 and 8 inch bars, and I have labeled all of mine so that they are just a little bit easier to remember. And how they work is you slot them together just like that, and they will fit really nice and tightly there. And if they're new, you might have a little bit harder of a time, but the more you use them, the easier they will slot together. And we will just get this last one put in, just right here. There we go. Sorry about the wiggle, but there we go. I usually use the floor to do the last one. And as you can see along the bar, there are holes all over the place on both sides. And that is because the way that the bars work are with these little tacks, just like this. And there it goes. But yeah, they're just basic little flathead tacks. There's nothing kind of special or unique about them. They're pretty cheap. I get them in boxes of I think 50 at a time, and it's getting to the point where I need to start ordering a few more because eventually they do get kind of bent and a little bit messed up, and they're not very nice to use after a while. You can also sometimes, with the right set, get one of these things, which is to help you push the tacks into the bar. And the nice thing about this particular one is that it's also magnetic, so it can help you grab them out, although I don't use this that much. I just use my thumb. And you can also get one of these, which is just this neat little tiny plastic crowbar. I had a fancier one that came with this that had the same wooden handle, but the problem was that it was fancy, but it wasn't very nice. It bent as soon as I used it. So we are going to take our frame and our fabric, and if the fabric is a little bit bigger than the frame, that's fine. You want it to be at least the same size. A little bit bigger is fine, a little bit smaller, not so much. And that's one of the reasons they come in many, many sizes. So this is the fabric that we're going to be putting on the bars. And the way that I like to do it is I think of it kind of like I'm stretching a drum. And I'm going to start at the corners and then work inward. So the first one, we'll push it right into the corner, just like that. And you can see that it goes straight through the fabric and into the bar. And that is one of the downsides about the stretcher bars, is that it will leave tiny holes all along the edge of your fabric. So you really want to make sure that you're giving yourself a lot of room around the edges so that you don't see those holes in your finished project. So an extra inch or two more than you would normally need is typically advised, or at least that's what I typically advise. So we've done this one here first, and now we're going to take the fabric and just stretch it a little bit. Don't stretch it too tightly, but stretch it enough so that it's going to stay tight enough. And tight enough is however tight you like the fabric when you're working on it. And we're just going to take that tack and stick it through. And then we'll rotate this so it's a little bit easier. I'm going to take this and pull it this way now, trying to keep the tension as even as possible, and push the tack through. And then the fourth one, we're going to pull it this way so that I'm taking the tension from both of these two tacks here. So we're just going to kind of pull it and put the tack in. And you can see it's still really blobbery and loose, but if you don't mind working on loose fabric, that's all you need to do. If you're like me and you like your fabric really tight, then we're going to take a few more steps. And this is one that I don't know how well you can see it, but the tack needs a little bit of help. It's kind of bent, so we're not going to use that one. That one's fine. And we're going to, I just eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just find the middle of the bar and give the fabric enough of a tug so that it's staying level, but don't actually pull it tight at this stage. Just make sure that it's staying level and push the tack right in. And then we're going to go to the opposite side, and now we're going to pull away from that tack. And every time you put a new tack in, that's what you're going to do. You're going to pull away from the opposite tack. So we put that one in there. And now we're going to do it on the opposite side. So we're going to again find the center, put the tack right in there, and just give it enough of a tug so that it stays level. That's not quite the center. There we go. Give it a push in. And then on the other side, pull it away from that tack so that the fabric gets nice and tight. And just put it, that tack's not very happy either. Oh well. Right in there. And now you can see the fabric right in the middle is tight, but once you go outside it's kind of flobbery and loose again. So we're going to do the same thing. In between these two tacks, we're going to put one right in the middle, just giving it a nice little gentle tug to make sure that it's staying even on the edge. And then we're going to put the tack in between these two. So just right there. Flip it around, and the same on this side. Give it a tug and push the tack in. And eventually, if you've used your stretcher bars enough, this is a newer set, so I don't quite have the holes in all of the places, but you'll be able to just put the tacks right into the same holes every time. And now we're going to move it over and put the tack in here. Put the tack in here. A lot of these are really desperately needing to be replaced. And now, whoops. Now we're going to pull it tight. Tack in there and put the tack in there. And aside from the very edges of the corners right there, it is all pretty tight fabric. It actually makes a nice, even kind of a drum-like sound. And there we have on the back. I typically like to stitch on the front. You can stitch on the back, but I find it's a little bit more difficult to do it that way because you have to get your hands around it. That's just me though, but you can do this in hand, you can put it in a stand, you can do this now however you want. And the beauty of doing it this way on the bars is that it is going to hold the tension for however long you need to be working on your project. And unlike hoops, you don't really have to worry about releasing the tension when you're not working on it, because there's nothing that's going to be crimping the fabric the way that your hoops will crimp up the fabric. And another thing that I like about this is even if you're stitching in hand, you're only going to be coming into contact with the very edges, so you're not likely to get the kind of finger grime that you get around the hoop. Sometimes you'll get like those horrible little brown kind of smudges just from working on it with your hands. So that's another little benefit of these. Again, the drawback is that there are a lot of little pieces that need to go into it. It can be kind of an expensive investment, not nearly as expensive as a scroll frame, but there is an investment in there, and it does leave the holes in your fabric. So it's one of those things where you have to weigh the pros and the cons and decide if that's something that you really like. But this is a method that I've been using now for a while, and I don't think I will ever go back to hoops or scroll frames again. This is my favorite method so far by miles. But I hope you have found this helpful, and I hope this gives a little bit more insight to the video I did a while ago. If you have any questions, please let me know either in the comment section down below or on my About page, and I will get to them as soon as I can. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!